King Charles III releases a portrait 3 days before May 18th that some say looks like Baphomet. Also, you look at the decoding of the numerology, the Vatican is releasing guidelines for how to deal with the supernatural 39 days after the solar eclipse that created an X over Texas and America, some people refer to as the New Babylon. We're going to look at the biblical connections in this podcast. We're going to look at the timelines, the numerology, and the scriptures, and we're going to connect all the dots. So buckle up, Buttercup. Boom! I've had this now for, I think, 5 months. And if you go to don'twastepower.com, you can get one of these. You can actually order a few and you'll get a discount. But it seems like I can see why people are skeptical. So that's why take the 30-day challenge. They're so affordable, you can't not take the 30-day challenge. Actually, 60 days. Plug it in next to your breaker box. I've still got mine plugged in next to my breaker box. It's been plugged in for about 5 months. I'm still saving money on my electricity. I've got propane also. Through the winter, I didn't even use all my propane. How crazy is that? Almost 6 months without replacing my propane tank. My electrical bills have been down, and I'm saving money. I'm getting responses where people are saying they're saving money, and I'm also getting responses where people are saying that they're skeptical, and that's good. So try it out. There's a money-back guarantee on it. Go to don'twastepower.com. You can get up to 65% off. The more you order, the more you save. Literally what you do is you just plug it in next to your breaker box and you save money. The green light turns on and you let it go. It helps get rid of dirty electricity. Now, I don't know exactly how it does that. I just know you plug it in as close to your breaker box as you can, and it saves you money. So it also helps protect your appliances from dirty electricity. So get yours at don'twastepower.com. Be excellent to each other. And let's get back to this podcast. Whoa! King Charles III releases a new portrait 3 days before May 18th. Well, what's May 18th? May 18th is 40 days after the eclipse that created an X of totality over the New Babylon, which was April 8th. Yeah, stay with me on the numerology here, because you know what? The money funders sure do. Those in aristocracy certainly do. So buckle up, Buttercup, and let's talk about it. I'm Rex Bear. How the heck are you? Make sure to hit that subscribe button for all notifications. The first article that I want to share with you, I'm going to show you the image. We're going to decode it, and then we're going to look at what the experts say it means. Maybe it's something in between. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither, but it's certainly fascinating, the numerology. Now, what also is fascinating is if you study mythology and you study the biblical texts and the scriptures before the biblical texts that offer many of the same insights and information, you'll realize that the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, and the Rosicrucians, and many mystery schools offer the translations that are available. Now, the translations available, you're going to have different interpretations of these translations, and they have different meanings, but the significance oftentimes is hidden within. The 3 days, the 40 days after, the invasion in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Let's talk about the New Testament and some of the scriptures. After the eclipse, Jonah is told to warn the people of Nineveh to repent, because if they don't repent in 40 days, there will be an invasion. Well, we are 3 days away from the 40-day mark. Now, what's interesting is if you look at the parallels, the towns of Nineveh and Salem are close to the totality lines of the eclipse. There were 7 Ninevehs and 14 Salems close to the totality path. So you can look these up yourself. And there's also a Rapture, Indiana, where this path of totality went over. But the research that I have done, and my theory is the founding fathers knew about these future eclipses, so they created the empire accordingly. They created they named the towns accordingly. Let's just leave it there for a minute. Let's get into this. So I want to share with you the first article from Time magazine. King Charles III unveils first official portrait since coronation, received mixed receives mixed responses. Now, this first portrait of the monarch completed since he assumed the throne is a vivid image depicting him in the bright red uniform of the Welsh Guards against a background of similar hues. Larger than life painting by artist Jonathan Yeo captures the king with his hands clasped atop the hilt of his sword and a butterfly flitting above his right shoulder. Charles got his first look at the canvas Tuesday at Buckingham Palace. Yeo began the portrait more than a year ago before Charles became king, with a sitting at the then Prince of Wales Highgrove estate in June 2021. The last sitting took place in November 2023 at Clarence House, one of the king's residences in London. Now, here's a quote from the article. When I started this project, His Majesty the King was still His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. And much like the butterfly I've painted hovering over his shoulder, this portrait has evolved as the subject's role in our public life has transformed, Yeo said. The portrait's about 8.5 feet by 6.5 feet. It's going to be on display at the Philip Mould Gallery in London from May 16th to the 14th of June. Then, from the end of August, it will be displayed at Draper's Hall. And the portrait was commissioned to celebrate Charles' 50th year as a member of the Draper's Company, which was set up more than 600 years ago as a trade associate for wool merchants. Philanthropy came to be part of their mission, and the company is now a grant-giving body. Now, there's been a multitude of reactions about this release. First thing I saw was on Facebook about how it was the devil behind King Charles III. Some people said it was Baphomet. Some people, I mean, I've read a whole bunch of different opinions, and they're all quite fascinating. What's interesting is when you mirror the image, as you can see, it definitely appears there's a being there. Now, I think it's quite fascinating. And I also look at this as like when I see the butterfly, I definitely saw the transformation. I thought of the Monarch project, the MK Ultra stuff, where they use the butterfly and use the butterfly as a symbol of transformation, as a symbol of flying high, of rising above it all, of becoming greater through these trials and tribulations. It's like a reawakening, a new life, a rebirth. And it seems in many ways you could look at that through various lenses and see the transformation unfolding. So quite fascinating. Now, when you look at the image that's mirrored here, let's take a look at this in more detail. So the first article I would recommend you take a look at and read in full is King Charles III unveils first official portrait since coronation, receives mixed responses. Time. Then you've got the Gateway Pundit, creepy mirrored image of King Charles III, new portrait allegedly reveals Baphomet face. Then here it is on Twitter. You can see somebody actually, looks like Return of Cappy, took this image, mirrored it, and if you look at the center, it does appear that there is a bipedal anthropomorphic being, and his body almost looks like a face. His body, some people have taken the body and have made that out to be the face of the devil or of Baphomet or of some type of dark lord. I actually see the face above that. That's the body. The face above that to me, though, looks more of a almost like a face of a lion. But it does have the bipedal. You can see the shoulders, you can see the pecs, you can see the body. The face itself does appear to have horns or some type of, those are either horns or ears. You've got definitely the crown chakra, the third eye there, the lighting of the third eye. It does appear to have like a feline type nose and facial structure. The eyes appear to be feline almost. Then I can see the ears, which appear to be feline, and then outside of that is what some people might say are horns. But you can see the The face appears to have like hair, almost like a goatee around it, and then the beard, and then the central part of the body right here, and further down doesn't appear to show his legs in full, but the arms seem to kind of mold into King Charles III, and he would be on each side of this being. So it is as if the being here is in control of the left hand path and the right hand path of King Charles III. You have a butterfly on each side, but if you take it to its original, it is featured on the left side. The butterfly on the left side ascending from the left, oftentimes the left hand path being associated with um, what some people refer to as the Luciferian mindset. And that name, in and of itself, and that title, in and of itself, is very controversial. So we can save that for a future time. But the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, look at Lucifer as more of a light bearer from the research I have done, because I am neither a Freemason or a Knights Templar. But I've done enough research to realize Lucifer isn't what most people think. Uh, Quite different, actually. So, with that in mind, when I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this central figure, it is very symmetrical, and you can see the third eye being activated, the crown chakra, which is quite cool. Here is an image of Baphomet from 1856 depiction of the sabbatic goat. You can see the as above, so below, with the fingers, the two above, the two down, that's as above, so below. You can see the central point right there of the crown chakra being lit, being activated. The central point here, like the DNA, the rebirth, the creation through the DNA, the dual serpents, the kundalini, the feminine aspect through the breasts right there. But then clearly the male aspect, the goat, the Capricorn, the zodiac symbols that are referenced throughout this, also quite fascinating. And different groups have taken this symbol and came up with their own interpretations. But the mystery schools that have worshipped and looked upon this symbol for guidance has a very different interpretation than most in the public light. I'll just leave it at that. This is George Washington, as you can see, pointing up as well as almost pointing down, not quite. He's got his left foot out. Look at how Romanesque Washington looks in this image. And Baphomet type, not fully, but it does have that Baphomet similarity there, which is quite remarkable because I think there is a strong connection with the founding fathers and many of these mystery schools still to this day. There are opposing factions still, though. They're fighting for they're creating the same unity along the way, even though they're opposing. So like the checkerboard, or the chessboard, I should say, but it's fourth dimensional chess. Within the 3D is within this 4D, this cube, this chessboard. Here's something from the Mirror saying hidden details in King Charles' portrait gives a worrying hint about royal family's future. The first official portrait of King Charles to be finished since his coronation has been unveiled, and within it, the striking painting, a very subtle detail that many may have missed at first glance. Yeah, the butterfly. Yep, there it is. During a conversation with the king, Eo said they discussed how it would be nice to have a narrative element which referenced his passion of nature and environment. And he spoke of how Charles changed jobs halfway through the process. And the butterfly is a symbol of metamorphosis, so it can tell multiple stories. The type of butterfly could be very telling, according to some experts. Obviously, a monarch butterfly in particular being depicted. And then this article says what its name suggests royalty, its endangered status, may unintentionally say as much about the king's concerns about the future of the monarchy as well as the natural world. Very interesting. So, What do you think about that? And the symbolism combined with the numerology, combined with the biblical scriptures, it seems to all be unfolding in front of us. And thank you for being awesome. Has anybody told you that lately? Because you are. You're awesome. Check us out on Patreon. We can really use your support on Patreon. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and be the change you want to see. And I'll see you on Patreon. Boom!